Welcome to Deeply Disturbing Things,
the podcast.
I'm Macie.
And I'm Naomi.
And we're two anxious counselors that like to talk about deeply disturbing things.
Welcome. Let's dive in.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. I wanted to move out of my bedroom into the counseling office. And this is actually where we first started recording.
It is.
So we've kind of come full circle.
Yeah, it is. We have so much more technology around us than we normally do or did.
Do you like my wall of plants?
You do. You have quite a lot of plants.
Those are real.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you water? Do you have to stand
take
on
them down and water them in the sink?
I like them.
They're new, so as they grow, they're going to cascade, and it's going to be quite lovely.
Lovely.
Cheers. Here we are drinking wine out of paper cups because we're classy like that.
So classy. Cool. So what are your check-ins today?
So our very first podcast, you talked about the fire festival.
Yes, I did.
And I just saw in the news today that the class action lawsuit was settled, and each person that was going to go is getting $7,200.
Was that the cost of admission?
I don't think so. I think it was higher, wasn't it?
I thought so, because that was the whole thing. Well, maybe not. Excuse me, because I thought it was like $1,000 or something. It was a lot of money for a concert.
Well, because
then travel, and then they were stranded and starved.
It was supposed to include villas and chef-made food, and it turned out to be FEMA tents and styrofoam boxes with sad cheese sandwiches.
It was all inclusive, supposedly.
Yes.
And it included sand.
I wanted to say that we do this live.
Yeah.
And I think that takes a lot of guts. Because even if we decide to edit something before we post the recording later, there are people listening to this right now that are going to hear everything.
Well, there's very few things that we do actually edit.
No, we edited episode 69 and that was it.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
But I just wanted to say cheers to us, because I think this takes a lot of guts to be willing to, put yourself out there in this format live. Nobody does that.
So I have a check-in.
Okay, what?
Okay, so I was looking for a topic, and I ran across this thing that wasn't enough to be a topic, but I found it interesting. Okay, so I was looking into, because I had this idea of the idea of Wonder Woman, where did that come from? And it kind of took me to this this path of Amazon women, this strong and powerful woman, and I was where do Amazon women come from? What's that even
Weren't there real Amazon women? Amazonians?
So that's what I was are there Amazonian women who are matriarchal and
badass?
Yeah, and super strong or something. I don't know. And really there was this little bit of research at the end that I got to that showed some actual evidence in 1990s of 150 graves that they found of they said it was a regular women, so nothing superhuman, but they were ceramics. Oh, I'm gonna get this wrong.
What are you trying to say?
It's the population of people. Here, you say this word.
What? I can't say things. And I don't even have my glasses on. Sexual?
Not that word.
Oh, that's what caught my eye. Soramations? I don't know. I've never heard of that word. What does it mean?
It's a group of people that lived in the Amazon. So they're not actually called Amazonians.
Okay. So that's
for one. Yeah.
Something that we did in our culture.
But it was a group of women warriors, 150 of them they were buried with their weapons. They could tell too, they rode horseback. They were bow-legged from riding horseback so much. One was laying with her dagger and a quiver of arrows that had 40 bronze tip arrows next to her. I thought it was super cool.
That is really cool.
And they were actually around 5'6", which was pretty tall for that era for women.
I'm almost 5'6".
Are you?
I'm 5'5".
You're freakishly tall for that era. You're too tall. You're welcome. You're an Amazon. It's wonderful. So I kind of came, the way that I even got to that was like, first it went through like, there's this, maybe this was like a political thing to kind of go against like the servitude role of women. And it was more of like a political story and poetry kind of writing to kind of speak against that was like one angle for a while. Another one was that Athenian males had seen Amazon men who were beardless, and that they possibly thought that they were women and they weren't women. That was another take, that just didn't exist. And then the last one was that Athenian males felt that it was a sexualization of women, like the horses were supposed to be like phallic somehow. And
of course they would,
because like in all the stories of Amazon women in like the Athenian writing, perhaps.
Sounds good to me,
right? All of that, like they all died like really tragically in really tragic ways at the end, and so they were like thinking that was like unsolved sexual like conflict that these Athenian males had, that they put into the stories of writing with women. But then in the 1990s, that it was only in the 1990s that we actually found this burial site with these 50 or 150
I guess I just
women.
always assumed it was a group of people that
like that was like
the Amazon,
a well-known thing. Yeah, me too.
Tall female warrior class.
I just like couldn't find any information on it, and everything I found was like these little like hypotheses and then this one piece of evidence.
And now we have glamazons, which are drag queens.
Yeah,
they're also tall, powerful, lovely.
More glitter,
little more glitter,
less bronze tip arrows, but maybe, I don't know. So anyways, I just found that interesting, and it wasn't enough for a full topic, but I just wanted to share my excursion.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. It's pretty good. You didn't pre-funk today like you did last time?
I did not. That was special. I don't usually pre-funk.
Yeah. What other check-ins you got? Anything?
Well, tomorrow I'm taking you to a disturbing place in Spokane.
I'm stoked.
And I wish I had a whole list of disturbing places that we're going to go to, but I only have the one, so I'm hoping
it'll be enough.
Yeah, and maybe if people are listening that are from Spokane, if you know of a disturbing place, tell me. Tell me secretly. Don't tell Macie.
Why don't I get to know? I just like
the idea of like duct taping.
You see this, right? Like she's gonna steal me,
throwing you in a van, and just taking you where we're gonna go.
You know, I won't lie. I kind of like the idea too. Just like this powerlessness of, I guess I end up where I end up. I don't have to make any
the power.
Yeah, I don't have to make any choices for like an hour or two. It sounds great.
But you're gonna like tomorrow's. It's gonna be
cool.
It's really fun.
I'm excited. You told me to bring my skates.
Yes, it's a combo activity.
I like it.
Because there's a skate trail right nearby.
Well, now that we have a YouTube channel, we're gonna totally.
Oh yes, follow us on our brand new YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I subscribed. I was our first subscriber.
Well, because I've kept it hidden because I never unlocked its full powers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So cool. And let us know if you like seeing us in action.
Yes. Apparently Podbean.
Are we supposed to look at the camera or supposed to look at each other?
No, we went over this last time. We look at each other.
But occasionally, can I glance at the camera?
You can like look at it. I can see you there.
Because isn't this like we're talking to the people?
Yeah, this is when we're talking to the people.
And this is when we're talking to each other. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You know, we have no experience in the entertainment industry. We really are the two least likely people to start a podcast.
Or be on any filming of
anything.
anything.
So I have no headphones. I have no headphones because I broke mine.
Broke them.
Yeah.
You also threw your glasses at me before the start. We were late, and that was my fault.
Tell them what you did.
Well,
you deserved that punishment.
I was trying to get onto your awful Wi-Fi that wasn't working, and then she goes, "Well, that's the box over there," and I said, "Oh, I unplugged it."
and I was like, "That's weird. None of the lights are on." She's like, "Oh, did we need that plugged in?"
Oops.
And so I had to throw something at you. You deserved that.
Well, yeah, it was Yeah, I'll save that clip for everybody so you can see her being violent towards me in case I need to ever use
Oh, you
that
were
against
filming
her.
that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Obviously.
Well, that ties into my topic.
Oh, good. Cool. So I get to go first today.
Okay. That's
Um,
fine, because mine doesn't have math.
Mine doesn't have math either. Thank goodness. Mine, I'm going to need a lot of your input.
I've got input to give.
Okay.
Maybe. Depends on the topic.
So I picked my topic based on our crime board that we did on our lack of alien topics.
That was my shame.
That is your bucket, and you failed. You failed so hard.
You know what, though? The one I presented on was the most believable thing that had a lot of substance to it. I think that's why I picked that.
Just you wait.
Okay.
Just you wait.
Bring it on.
So I'm going to talk about Betty and Barney Hill's alien abduction.
Yes, I've heard about this.
Yeah, so this was like one of the most prominent abduction stories that came out that kind of led to how it was talked about then on.
Will there be probing?
They did not identify probing. That's actually how my search started.
You searched anal probing?
I'm sure I'm on so many lists at this point. Last week when I was making the video part, I was looking at pictures on your topic. So I'm looking up like sawed-off shotgun and
we're on so many watch lists
anti-government.
Right
yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on every list possible. Okay, so
is that them?
Yeah, this is them. So they're a biracial couple.
Betty and Barney are really cute couple names.
Isn't it? Betty and Barney Hill. It's like an adorable
really
name.
Sweet, yeah.
It is. So I'm going to start with just setting the scene for a moment.
Okay.
Is it chasing us? That thought coursed through Betty and Barney Hill's minds as they drove down the empty, winding country road in New Hampshire's White Mountains. It was a September night in 1961. They hadn't seen a car for miles, but there was a strange light in the sky that was following them. Dun, dun, dun. When they finally got home to Portsmouth at dawn, they were far from relieved. They felt dirty. Their watches stopped. Barney's shoes were strangely scuffed, and Betty's dress was ripped. There were 2 hours of the drive that they don't remember. And I just want to say that my father and I had a moment like that where we can't remember like a chunk of time in the car, and could have happened. I don't remember anything else. It could have happened. And they couldn't remember anything when they got home. Like, it wasn't like they went home and said, we were abducted by aliens. So that's where it kind of gets a little interesting. And I'll need some of your feedback on where this goes.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So they went to a psychiatrist is what they did after this happened.
Ooh, did that turn out to be a mistake?
Well, you have to kind of think like, you have to think that like, why would you go to a psychiatrist after something like this if it didn't really happen? I don't know. Just throwing that out there. It's not something people typically do.
So they did that because they thought they were going crazy. Right? Is that why?
Yeah. I mean, not like they were going crazy, but basically like they were losing sleep. They were having
some PTSD.
Yeah, they were having a lot of like physical symptoms and like trauma related symptoms that they couldn't really explain. So that's why they went to the psychiatrist. Sachia wasn't sleeping in the car. That's not what happened. Okay, so with the help of the psychiatrist, the couple eventually revealed a startling story. They called them Greys for the aliens. Were called the Greys.
The gray ones.
Yeah,
they do.
Had large eyes, and they walked the couple to a metallic disc that was wide as their house was. So very big metallic disc in a field. Once inside, they examined the couple and erased their memories. So that's what was reported.
How do they do that? Is it like in Men in Black where they just do the zappy light thing? Or is it like in Arrested Development? Is it a forget me now pill?
I think they kind of phrased it like it was like they had a pretty in-depth involvement, and I'll walk through that with the aliens. And then it was just like all of a sudden they don't remember something again, and then they wake up. That sort of thing. So this whole experience actually kicked off an Air Force inquiry. There was a secret initiative called Project Blue Book that came from this that involved looking into alien sightings. And that's actually like around the whole country. So the Hills road trip was a spontaneous break that they chose to do. He actually, he used to be in the Air Force. That's what he did before. And she worked, and I think currently at this time he was working at a post office like 60 miles away. So he had a very long drive back and forth. They went on this trip immediately after work for both of them, and she worked as a child welfare worker, so both of them had very hard jobs, and then they went on this trip. So some people said like sleep deprivation may have been a cause, like, so they go through these things as well as possible alternatives,
different theories.
Yeah, exactly. So after 16 months of marriage, Betty and Barney saw this trip through Montreal and Niagara Falls as their delayed honeymoon. They left so impulsively that they had no time to go to the bank before it closed. They got in their car with less than $70 in their pocket. So, I mean, okay.
That's probably a more that back then.
Yeah.
Than now.
Yeah, that's gas money at least. Gas and food. As they drove, they saw a strange light in the sky. At first, it looked like a falling star. As it got brighter, Barney started trying to like calm her down, because he was a World War II vet. So he's like, it's probably this, it's probably that. Don't worry about it. But after a while, he actually got concerned. So they pulled over because he was like speeding up, slowing down. And they said that it was like pacing with them.
Scary.
Yeah. Could you imagine that? What would you do if you had...
Would I like
being
try to outrun it, or would I stop and try to get a video? I'm not sure.
Really? I feel like you would stop. Well, would you really keep going?
Do you remember, what was it, like 2 years ago when I saw that UFO when I was driving down to WSU, and I watched it and watched it and watched it, and I was driving, but like really slow. But as soon as I got out my camera, it was gone. So a lot of people have said that happens. Like they know when they're being watched. And so I might have wanted to not disturb the moment and like keep going.
Just see what happens.
Yeah.
So he ended up pulling over, but Barney said that it felt like cat and mouse, like it was like almost kind of toying with them. And he finally, when he stopped, he actually wandered out into the grass area at the stop and was going to go look for what the light was coming from. And so she stayed in the car during this. And during that, he's like, oh my God, what is this thing? He sees it. He says it's bigger than a house. And then that's the part where they said like their memories were really hard. They couldn't remember what happened after that point. So they saw it, they recognized that part, and then no memories.
And they're both reporting the same experience.
Yes, together.
So that can give it more credibility, I would think.
Well, in this, but on the other hand, other people have argued that they called them the Greys as being a mix between black and white, and that could have some symbolic reasoning for them being a biracial couple and having, because that was somehow symbolic for them. And so a lot of people had a lot of worries about the psychiatrist and having, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but having memories evoked that aren't true is like a thing in therapy.
Planting false memories.
Yeah. So, and obviously there's not that much information out there about like their actual sessions because it's confidential. So we don't know that.
Yeah, I want to see the transcripts.
Yes, let's do a records request.
Let's do a reenactment.
Yes. Okay. So once they were back home after that whole night, they were trying to make sense of it. He felt compelled to examine his lower half of his body. And he felt like there was just like this presence, like, and he just like, yeah. So
What
that's
does that
kind
mean?
of well, he
A
felt like
in his pants?
he felt like somebody had like touched him and had like been in his
Business? Ooh.
So
Are we getting
Betty's
to the part about the probe?
getting there. I mean, not probe exactly, but Betty suffered from nightmares. Barney actually ended up developing an ulcer and cancer, or not cancer, goodness, anxiety. Ulcer had an anxiety disorder from this, and they went and got mental help. So Benjamin Simon was a psychiatrist who specialized in hypnosis. So that's who they saw for this. And they did this through months of weekly sessions, and they pieced together what they had seen after they had met the Greys and started walking towards the ship. So once inside, this is what their memories revealed after their therapy sessions.
Like, are those memories you necessarily want to
unbury? I don't know. I mean,
if something bad happened,
I could see how maybe like a hypnotherapist might think like, oh, we need to like uncover these things to get to the root of it so you can heal. You know, that's a little, because 1960s, that's very Freudian era.
Yeah. I'd be like, maybe your brain is protecting you from something you don't want to know.
Yeah.
It's doing its job.
Yes, exactly. So this is what they described from their memories. Once inside, the Hills were separated, taking turns on an examination room table. There were curved walls, large lights hanging from the ceiling. Each was asked to climb onto a metal table. The table was short. Barney remembered his legs hung over the sides. During the examinations, the beings removed Betty and Barney's clothes, plucked strands of their hair, took clippings of their nails, and scraped their skin. Each sample was placed on a clear material, not unlike a glass slide.
They're going to make new Bettys and Barneys. There's probably a whole planet full.
Needles were used and connected to long wires, probing their heads, arms, legs, and spines. One large needle around 4 to 6 inches long was inserted into Betty's belly button.
Ooh,
inside the belly button.
What are they doing?
So they said she said it was a pregnancy test. Ooh. The pregnancy test, she said, left her twisting in pain throughout.
We've talked about how the belly button should not be poked at.
Okay, weird connection. Another topic I almost went into, and I didn't realize this till just this moment. I was looking up like weird body parts, and I totally was like reading about the belly button. There's like over 65 different bacteria that grow in your belly button, by the way.
I try to scrub mine thoroughly in the shower.
They say it's because most people just like ignore it.
I can see that.
Yeah, I learned some stuff about belly buttons today.
Do you have a pierced belly button?
No.
Did you ever?
No, I'm very grossed out by belly buttons. I really don't like them. I feel like if you push them too hard, all your guts are going to fall out. I don't enjoy it.
No, I think it's like the end of a balloon tied off, you know?
Yeah, it just freaks me out a little bit.
And ties and knots, then yeah, everything's just going to spill out onto the table.
Do you have an innie or an outie?
We've talked about this. I used to have a very adorable innie.
Oh, and it went outie when you got
pregnant. It went outie, and then it didn't go all the way back innie. So now I have a half.
That's what I read. Like it like pops bellies out. Pop.
Yeah, it's like the turkey's done. Boop. Boop.
Yeah, and then you now have an outie.
No, it's half.
Half.
It like didn't go in all the way.
Well, they said the most like neglected belly, not neglected, but like people don't like them as much are the full outie and the very regressed innie, where it's like really deep innie.
Like a tunnel.
So
like a little cave.
It's like not just just because you have an innie belly button doesn't give you an in. If it's too grossly in, it's gross too.
No, I think mine was the perfect amount of in and out. And I've had my belly button. My belly button is not pierced now, but I have pierced it 5 times in the past.
Wow. Well,
it was the 90s. That's what you do. It was cute.
Yeah, that is, they say, like a erogenous zone as well, like sexually. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want somebody
licking up in your belly button and your 65 bacterials.
That's cool.
All right, where were we? I don't know. Okay, yeah. So Barney and Betty,
or like doing any of those like bachelorette games with whipped cream or shots or no
shot.
I don't need shots in my belly button.
I mean, it's just
I don't want to suck them out of anyone else's belly button.
I mean, it just sucks most.
I don't know how clean they are
for the person doing the sucking. Okay, yeah. So Barney and Betty said that they saw the leader like to the side, so they were able to identify like the leader of the Greys. After Betty's examination ended, the beings rushed back to a different room, and they were excited. They discovered that Barney's teeth could be removed because he had false teeth.
Oh, I was like, oh God, how they didn't pull his teeth out?
Yeah, I thought that too. Because he had false teeth. So Betty said she remembered laughing at that, explaining dentures to them. So she then explained dentures to them.
So was there actual like dialogue back and forth,
Yes.
like conversation?
Yes. She said later on, alone with the leader, Betty asked where the craft had flown, admitting she knew little about the universe. The being joked with her, saying, "If you don't know where you are, there wouldn't be any point in telling you where I am."
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Later, under hypnosis, she drew a star map shown to her on the ship. In 1965, the story was then picked up by a Boston newspaper that they had been abducted, and it kind of spread from there.
Did they speak English back and forth, or was it like telepathy?
She said it was like she spoke verbally, and they spoke back.
Do you think that was like a trick?
I mean,
they were really speaking their alien language and were somehow able to make it so she perceived it as English.
I mean, if it was aliens, I definitely think it would be some sort of like transcriber, like I don't know,
Google Translate.
Yeah, just out their mouth.
Yeah, like on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they could like push a neck button.
If you're coming all the way from some other place, some other universe, or some other part of the universe, you are so much beyond anything we can even comprehend as far as technology.
Right.
So I'm sure they could do lots of things.
I mean, maybe, or else they just are good at space crafting. Oh. Maybe they're not into Google Voice. I don't know.
Was she pregnant?
No.
Seems like that would be dangerous for
to
the baby.
Stab a needle in there. Yeah, I agree. So this whole kind of model of talking about like the spaceships being flat and round started coming around after this time. There were a few before this, but this was the like most prevalently mediated
saucer shape.
Mm-hmm. So
there's different shapes. Like that's the shape that's popular. There's like the Tic Tac one.
I've seen like the red lights, like there was like in my mom's house, because they're up like on the top of a mountain, and there's like these 3 little red triangle lights that my siblings and I were watching one night when we were like laying out on a trailer, because that's what you do when you live in nowhere, and they were like rotating and spinning like above us for a long while, and then eventually they just disappeared. We're like, okay, I don't know what that was.
The one I saw in Colfax was like a big black box just sitting there in the sky.
Was it it wasn't like a robot droid?
Well, I mean, it was big, and it was
How big? Like, are you talking like handheld?
No, because it was like in the distance in the sky.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't.
Are you talking
want to
aircraft?
estimate. It was just sitting there, though. Yeah, in the sky. Just square. It wasn't moving. It was just sitting there. It was like rectangular-ish.
Oh, you just reminded me. There was a university that had called the wildlife people because they were concerned there was an animal trapped in the tree outside of one of their dorms, and the animal people came, and it was a croissant.
I heard about that.
Somebody had like put in the tree. I saw the picture, and I'm like, I could see how they thought it was an animal, but it's definitely like a croissant.
It's definitely a croissant. Probably one of those delicious Costco croissants,
right? Okay, so it's, it might be a croissant. Might be an alien. Who knows?
My son says he saw UFOs like 3 days ago.
Ooh, where at?
Just out in the sky. Who's looking at him from my house? He was making a bunch of sketches.
Oh.
And they were above airplanes. Like he was watching airplanes go. And they stood there for a long time. They were like spinning. And then they left. It was like a whole bunch of them.
And that's like with so much like air travel now, like I feel like it could happen all the time and people wouldn't really pay any mind now. Where like maybe like back in the 60s, you're going to notice it more.
Yeah.
then I don't even pay attention to things in the sky anymore.
Yeah, and this was daytime, so it made
Yeah.
they were actually really hard to see because they're so
Mhm.
far away. He called me, he's like, "Mom, are those birds?" And I'm like, "What?" And it took me a long time to even see what he was looking at. And I'm like, "I think those are too high up for birds, and why are they spinning?" And then I had to go back to work. And then
you saw aliens.
I checked in later, and a lot more had developed.
Did you get probed?
I may have. I don't know.
I hope not. Okay. So just to kind of build on
probing
this,
is not necessarily a bad thing.
Would you like to expand?
No.
Okay.
It just depends on the person, place, and situation.
Okay. I mean, aliens? That situation?
No, probably not.
Okay. All right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if that's my only chance to experience alien life,
so you're making
or to see behind the veil, if they're like, okay, you do one probe, and we'll tell you everything, all the truth.
Are you being held ransom for sexual probing for information? This is a very specific situation. Do you need to talk to a hypnotist?
Why are the aliens so into butts? I mean, that's the bigger question.
Why are people so into butts? They're the ones talking about it. I haven't heard one alien talk about butts.
Butts are very interesting.
I mean, yeah, but there was no butts in this. There was no butts. There was no butts. No butt probing. So just going into the human brain and the other side of this is people who say that it wasn't true, that aliens don't exist. There's that side of the argument. So according to research, one of the strongest predictors of false recalling, at least, is vivid imagination. So there's this kind of connection that people will make that, well, if you have a vivid imagination and you're put in a position like a hypnotherapy session and you're going to bring about information, yeah, you're probably going to bring about more vivid imagery to that than if you weren't into it. And most people, they said, if you believe in aliens, you're more likely to believe in tarot cards and kind of that alt culture with that.
Fits.
Yeah.
I fit the profile, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like I'm describing you, so I'm trying to tread carefully. But it was actually ruled out from that blue book I told you, the government book. They crossed it off. I mean, but they can't prove it wrong. It's just they didn't have enough.
The government there's a lot of things. I mean, something just happened recently where there's a UFO alongside I think it was a commercial jet. It was a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that happen that can't be explained.
Well, and that's, I mean, the universe is so big that to even think
and there's probably more than one also.
We're definitely not the smartest if there's more.
No.
They're
definitely not.
I mean, or we are, and
so either it's other life that has developed independently of us, or it's us in another time.
Yeah, I mean, I do you talking parallel dimension stuff.
No, way future maybe.
Or way past, just developed more. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's we put a lot of meaning to people are the model. But I don't think that necessarily would be true. We have a lot of flaws. I mean, belly buttons. So
you have so many flaws. Earwax,
right?
What is the point of earwax?
I mean, it's to keep dirt out of your ears so you don't.
But if you get
damage
too much,
your brain,
like me, then
are you a lot of earwax person?
Apparently, this is a new development in my life.
Is it?
Yes, that apparently I have a lot of earwax.
What causes it? Does stress cause earwax?
I heard that it's something that could be related to these times that we're living in.
Oh my goodness. Are they saying that COVID causes earwax problems? Because I'm going to have a problem.
I don't know if it's COVID necessarily.
Is COVID the new fibromyalgia?
I'm just saying I have a lot of earwax and I had to get it removed. And I'm sorry, nurse, that had to help with that.
Ew.
I apologize the whole time. I am so
Wait,
sorry.
Did they have to do more than the swab? Did they do the drain thing?
They don't do a swab. that actually pushes it in.
Okay.
This is what they do.
I'm sorry, I've never
This
done
is what they
this
do.
formally.
I just had this done like last
Tell
week.
us, because this is deeply disturbing.
It is deeply disturbing. First of all, I didn't know I had an earwax problem. So there was that. That was embarrassing.
Yes. Touch my earwax.
I'm like, don't look at it. Ew. So what they do is they take this
Gross.
squirt bottle of warm water and they just
Wait,
drill it.
I feel like this matters. Warm water or worm water?
Warm water.
Thank
and
you.
they drill it into your ear like hard and it feels so uncomfortable. Like you just feel it. It feels like it's in your face. Like in your eyes.
But it's in your
face.
ear.
It's in your head. Yeah.
Mm.
And so they just drill it while you have to help. You have to like hold a cup under your ear.
I don't want to work when I have to go to the doctor's office.
And like
I'm already traumatized.
capture the earwax drippings.
Ew. So
No,
it.
it's so
they
fucking gross.
flood it in and then it floods out.
And it floods out.
Do you have to like tilt your head and
a
like
little bit. You have to
drain
like
it
tilt your head.
like into
yeah.
my wine cup?
And then like occasionally they have to like stop and look in to see if they got it. And then they have to like go dump the
Did
thing.
you
And I'm
have like a
I
little
would,
cup? You didn't want to keep it as a keepsake?
No, I would avert my eyes because I did not want to see my gross earwax in that like water cup.
Did
So
it feel like a lot?
when she pulled it away, I would like not look because gross. The doctor assured me it's by far the closest thing they have to do, but I
doubt that.
felt very self-conscious about it.
I feel like
And they had 2 medical students in there like learning during my whole thing. So
gross.
I know.
I feel like my answer would always be no. It's like, hey, can this person watch? Mm-mm.
It was 2 also.
I mean, did they ask your permission?
Yeah, they did.
Why
I
did
said,
you say
sure?
that? Why? Was
Bring
that
him in.
was that before you knew you
I'm
had an
very
earwax
nervous
problem?
with the doctor.
You scared of authority, so you just say yes?
This is actually only my second time in like ever since I was a kid that I had like
Really?
an actual checkup. I've usually just gone to the doctor when I'm sick. But now they're like making people do that to like get medication refills. You have to go every year.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. So
Got it. Because you may have an earwax problem and
no,
not know.
that was my biggest problem, luckily. Everything
fine.
else I'm healthy. I'm all good.
Good. How often do you have to drain your ears?
Well, apparently next year, I guess when I go back,
Oh, okay.
we'll see the situation.
Seems like a long time.
She's like, there is an over-the-counter thing you can do. I'm like, yeah, I probably won't.
It's like one of those.
Why should I do it when they can do it for me?
It's like the neti pots that you
Oh,
like
I don't do that.
flush.
That's too
'cause
gross.
Doesn't that give you like hypothermia or something? Like,
Well,
No.
I think there's issues.
pneumonia.
If you do it wrong and it like goes back in,
Yeah,
I just don't want to spend that much intimate time with my snot.
it's a lot of snot.
It's
Yeah.
like earwax. Like I'm not a fan of it. I just want it out and gone. I don't look in the tissue. Like go.
I don't know. Part of me feels like it's there for a reason. So maybe it needs to just do its thing. Like maybe you have a lot of dirt coming in your ears, a lot of COVID germs going at your ears right now. So you may need more. Like maybe you're creating a gelatin around your body and you just disrupted that alienness that was happening from your breast.
I could hear way better though after.
I was wondering if that's
Everything was really loud.
if it only improves your eyesight.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
Do you need the glasses
Can't
you
see
threw at
shit.
me? I don't even
I
know.
have
where
them back.
Okay. Yeah. So I feel like aliens could do better than using people as a model, in my opinion.
What do you mean using people as a model? Like trying to create people through
Well,
their
like-
toenail clippings?
Well, like I feel like when people like even just like when you see like the typical alien picture, like they have 2 legs and they have 2 arms and they look like kind of just like an odd human that's blue.
Yeah, they're all humanoid.
Yeah, and I don't agree with that. I think it would probably be like, yeah, we'd find like some weird like toad looking thing and that's the first alien we see. That is probably not.
There's probably a lot of that out there.
Yeah.
Those creatures
To
just
me-
don't have the technology to come visit us.
Yeah, and so to me, like that absolutely has to exist out in the universe. We just can't reach it. As far as is anything advanced enough to travel? I mean, we haven't been able to do it, so maybe not. Maybe so, but maybe not. If it's an infinite world scenario, then there is. And maybe they just don't like us. And we have to accept being rejected by aliens. We're not cool enough. I mean, if they're following us and like run away from us. Why aren't we taking the hint?
I think they're here more than we know, and they have been for a long time.
Tell me more.
That's just what I think.
Saying that with a calm confidence.
I know there's no way that we're the only life in the universe. Like, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I don't think so either, but
It's too vast.
I just think we're too conceited to think that they would be so interested in us. I don't know.
Well, I think it's not maybe just us. I think it's like E.T. Let me bring up one of your favorites.
Thanks for that.
E.T., the extra testicle, who I love and Macie hates. Like, they weren't just interested in us. They were going all around collecting botanical samples.
Well,
We're just one stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I could see that.
And poor E.T. got left behind.
I did.
The little feet scrabbling.
Gosh, bringing up specific
Scrabble,
flashbacks of a nightmare. The counselor here intentionally triggering me because she's a jerk. If you're a future client of Naomi, just know she may do this on purpose.
It's called exposure therapy. You should know.
I do know. Thanks.
I need to bring E.T. over here now that we're recording over here.
Need to bring what?
The E.T. stuffy over here.
No, you don't. You can stay far away.
And I'll just have it right behind the pillows behind you.
No, I don't like it behind you. Just said that and I got chills instantly.
I don't know what's wrong with E.T.
For those that don't know, I have I'm scared of ET, and had really bad nightmares for repeating nightmares about ET murdering my family through this red vision, and I would hear it running. It would go running through the house.
That's the scrabbling.
And I would see through the ET's eyes that it murdered my dog, murdered my family. And I would have it over
a gentle
and over again.
creature.
No.
Vegetarian.
No, he's not. Lies.
Reese's Pieces loving.
So he's kept in the basement until he kills everybody. That's what happens.
That's your nightmare?
I'm going to literally have this nightmare tonight because you brought it up. So
sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So that's my topic for today. I wanted to dive into more aliens. I haven't got to drink very much because I was talking. So I'm excited for you to talk so I can drink more. This is the fun trade-off.
Okay. I will dive into my topic.
And I do hope you know that you need to do more aliens in the future. I did this to open the door for you.
Okay. It has to be, you know how it is when we do a topic. There has to be enough there to actually present on.
Like I said, I went through belly buttons.
It can't be just
Amazons.
Oh, I saw a thing in the sky. It has to be.
And then I saw this and I was like, oh, actually, that's pretty interesting because I could imagine myself in that position. And I would be royally freaked out.
This story had a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you request it, I will bring it. Did you see the Tiger King docuseries last year?
I love the Tiger King docuseries.
I'm going to talk about the Tiger King docuseries.
Good. I'm going to get comfortable.
So I'm glad you saw it because this is going to be really awkward if you didn't. So it came out a year ago. It coincided with lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people watched this. It was insanely popular. That
mullet, though, obviously.
That mullet, yeah. And so something in the news just came up about this. And so I'm like, you know what? That would be a good topic. And by now, I won't be giving spoilers because if you haven't watched it by now, then you don't deserve to watch it.
Well, that's rude, but go watch it because it was pretty funny.
No, it's really good.
Yeah. Carole Baskin.
So this was a true crime documentary. And they filmed for 5 years. So what we saw was the culmination of 5 years of filming.
It kind of wasn't filmed like a crime documentary, though.
No, you know why, though? Because it didn't start out as a true crime documentary. It started out as an expose into the world of people that keep exotic animals.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
They started out investigating people that keep reptiles.
Mm.
And while they were filming, they ran across somebody that had a freaking snow leopard in the middle of the summer in the back of a van. And so they were they kind of wanted to pursue that and look into that. So the thing kind of unfolded as they were filming, which is very interesting. Like a lot of different forks in the roads happen. So the creators, they stumbled onto this world of people that keep these big exotic cats, and then they learned about the Tiger King, and things just unfolded from there.
I know he sold underwear.
He did.
And played his own country music songs that he didn't actually play.
Is your dad in Oklahoma?
Yes.
So this
Not
was set
to
in
remind him
Oklahoma.
further.
So
Oh.
Tiger King.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the setting is Oklahoma.
Oh, there's so much context now.
So here's some of the main characters in the story. There's the Tiger King. He went by Joe Exotic.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually, or Joel Maldonado.
Mm-hmm.
He was a gay, gun-loving, mullet-sporting owner of the GW Zoo. He was born in 1963. And if you need a refresher,
oh, I remember.
that's his face.
Yeah, that's the exact face I remember.
So he's got a bleach blonde mullet,
Stash.
a stash, loves the tags. Another character was Carole Baskin. This is Joe's nemesis. She runs Big Cat Rescue. She thinks she is fixing the problem created by people like Joe Exotic. Mm-hmm. She only wears cat prints. And here's a picture of Carole Baskin and her husband Howard.
Carole Baskin, who does some of the same stuff as everybody else, but just labels it something different.
Then there's John Finley. This is Joe's husband of 11 years. They met when John was just out of high school. He had a real bad case of meth mouth during the filming.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Was she on Dancing with the Stars?
Yes. There's John Finley.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With his 2 teeth.
Yep. Probably his favorite too.
Although the best too. There was also Doc Antle. He was in there. He wasn't a main character, but he was kind of a side character. Mm-hmm. He ran a more sophisticated rival wildlife experience.
Yeah, that was the creepy dude, right?
He operated out of South Carolina. His place was called Myrtle Beach Safari. He had several girlfriends, sister wives.
That's what I remembered, yeah.
And he had a PhD in some kind of mystical science. Here's a picture of him with some of the ladies.
Yeah.
He made them get boob jobs. He made them dress sexy.
I remember when I was watching that part of it, I was like, this is such a cult. Like, because like, if you think about like, especially people in that age range of like ending high school, young adultish, that, you know, people who had the tiger print folders. What were those folders? Like the
Peaches?
Yeah. Yeah. Like those people that loved animals and, had tiger print things. That was definitely a thing then.
Animal prints are still in today.
Somewhat. They're definitely not like the style.
2 years ago, animal prints made a big comeback. I mean, they never really totally go away.
I mean, not for some people.
I'm trying to scan my wardrobe right now at home. Like, do I have
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
I don't think I actually do at the moment. But I have had some leopard in my...
I don't think I've ever worn...
I've had some leopard here and there.
Definitely had the PG folders.
So Rick Kirkham, he's another person. He was the producer of Joe Exotic TV. He used to be a reporter on Inside Edition, and he was addicted to crack cocaine at that time.
Wow.
His claim to fame is he interviewed one of the Bush presidents while high.
How else can you do that interview?
Another character was on the show was Saf, an animal keeper. He had his arm tore off by a tiger during the filming of the documentary.
That was freaky. That actually triggered me to watch like a couple different like people attacked by tiger or lion videos, which was pretty traumatic. I watched one where like they were on a safari and this dude gets out to take a picture and he gets like mauled and eaten by a lion. It's scary. They are big. They're very big. Their paws like the size or bigger than my head.
No, they're really big.
Crazy.
So let's dive in. Joe Exotic, which was his magician name.
Is he a magician? Can we call him a magician?
He was a magician.
Wait, like a legit magician?
Yeah. I mean, that was just one thing he did. He did many things. That was just one side hustle.
Gotcha. Man of many trades.
Yes. He owned and ran the GW Zoo. I can't remember what that stands for. It doesn't matter. So he had this like ragtag crew of misfits that were extremely loyal to him. Most had no experience working with big cats prior to coming to the zoo.
Wasn't a lot of like ex-convict type folk?
More later there was more felons, but I don't think Joe would have turned anybody away if they wanted to work for him and fit into his philosophy. Joe filmed every minute of his day. He was the star of his own show. As you mentioned, he had music videos that he filmed with him lip syncing to songs such as I Saw a Tiger.
Which is awful.
He had DVDs you could buy in the zoo gift shop of his videos.
And man thongs that are tiger print.
Yes. He'd experienced a lack of acceptance for being gay within his own family and the community, which led to depression and a suicide attempt when he was younger. Doc and Joe Exotic, so Doc Antle, one of the ladies, they spin the purpose of their up-close wildlife experiences as being for wildlife conservation. Because they say if people form personal connections with big cats and they get to cuddle the little babies, then they will become wildlife protectors. That's sort of how they spin what they're doing as being for the good. According to Doc, it takes $10,000 a year to feed a tiger quality food. And he said that's what he feeds his tigers. And he charges a premium admission to his park. According to Joe, he could feed a tiger for $3,000 a year. So how does he do that?
I know.
Well, you saw it already.
Well, I can kind of put a different reframe on it. It's a bit like at one point in my life, I remember my mom taking us to Fran's Bread, and they gave us expired bread once.
Oh, like an outlet?
Yeah.
Kind of Joe and his crew, they got cows that died in feedlots.
Oh.
They got deer from the highway patrol that had been hit on the highway.
Okay, that's not comparable. I didn't eat dead deer from the road.
And most memorable in the docuseries, they got big, giant Walmart Mart trucks full of expired meat.
Yes, that's more what I was
big,
thinking.
giant trucks.
Yeah.
And it was not only used to feed the animals, but it was also given to staff as part of their pay.
They grilled it and they sold it.
They did to the public, which is probably illegal.
Probably got charged for that.
Now, I do want to say I think there's a lot of food waste in this country because it's just expired past its date and it may be perfectly fine. But given what we know from Joe, I don't know if that was always the case.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a meat that I have froze and I've had it since I purchased it and it goes a week past expired, I'll still unthaw the meat and eat it. I won't even think about that, but I wouldn't if I saw it in a store, that's a week expired,
Right.
A reaction.
But it still might be, okay, you just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, those are based on estamates. So that's
often
why I have a sniffer. So we can sniff if something's rotten and know not to eat it.
Actually, I do that. I think with bread, it's I always smell bread to see if it smells like mold or not.
What do I smell?
My dad fed me moldy bread once to give me penicillin when I was sick, when I was a child.
Did that work? Did that cure your infection?
I think so.
Oh,
that's
smart.
when you need a little penicillin boost, it was just a little bit.
Intentionally
to give me penicillin.
Smart.
Yeah.
Good for the immune system.
It was better than the Advil.
We are not recommending you eat moldy bread.
No, don't do that. Don't also crush Advil in butter and put it on a cracker. Literally the worst thing I've ever had in my mouth. was awful. He's like, it's fine. And then he takes a bite and then spits it in the sink. Mm-hmm.
So Joe's staff only made about $150 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived there on the grounds, It was a pretty rough living situation.
There's not many places to live there, to be honest, from what I've seen.
So Joe was a magician, as I mentioned. That's what you do. Magic.
You magicianize.
And he performed with his big cats. And this is how Carole Baskin first got a line on Joe. So she started a campaign to shut down his magic shows.
Yeah, because it would be entertainment.
Right. But Joe had other ways to make money. He had these baby tigers at the zoo, so they're a big draw because people could come. You could hold the baby tigers. You could take photos with the baby tigers. The problem is the baby tigers grow up and become
big tigers.
500-pound adult tigers that aren't as big of a draw and cost a shit ton to feed and
You're describing human babies?
It's both. Both aren't as cute later.
Them not being able to say words as well means a little more as I get old.
So there are more tigers in captivity in the U.S. than living free anywhere in the world. That is a sad fact.
Super sad.
So I get very sad about animal stuff.
Poached, yeah.
I haven't done a lot of animal stuff just because it really makes me feel very sad. Joe stated if animal rights activists ever entered his property, it was going to be another Waco. So this is a link to my last episode.
Which was a link to your actual episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a pact with his staff that if anything went wrong, they would shoot each other. They had their names on bullets.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, okay, really?
Well, he was very territorial, very
for someone
paranoid,
who sits
but
and,
with reason. Like, he was attacked
all the time. He's like the most public-private person I've ever seen.
Yes, it's a huge dichotomy.
Yeah, it's odd. It's very odd.
Carole Baskin got PETA to target Joe Exotic. And
the PETA.
Joe, everybody, his whole staff always had firearms that they wore, and they had people
so scary
guarding the place because there really were threats. I mean, there was paranoia, but it was also, there was paranoia.
Yeah,
based
there's
on
like the
fact.
far side activists that take it like in a dangerous way.
Yeah, I mean, I've shared my terrible PETA experience on here, haven't I?
I don't remember, but that
when they traumatized.
Did you go first or last?
Preschool Asher.
I know. What?
Let me tell you this.
Tell me this.
This is why I got beef with PETA.
Do tell.
When little Asher, who was just a little preschooler, PETA broke in to their preschool and stole their pet bunny, Sugar Bunny, and left an empty cage full of leaflets, of PETA leaflets. And the kids were so traumatized. They were sobbing.
So sad.
Because they love Sugar Bunny.
They would
take turns.
Isn't that just like
feeding Sugar Bunny? And Sugar Bunny was an older, fattish, completely domesticated rabbit. I'm sure PETA took Sugar Bunny, released it into the wild. Sugar Bunny was probably dead within 2 hours.
Sugar Bunny?
It's just horrible. Just horrible.
Well, and So
that's why I got beef with PETA, because that made no fucking sense. Because Sugar Bunny dead versus Sugar Bunny alive. Like, I don't know.
Well, and I think like domesticated.
And traumatizing little kids. Like, come on.
A domesticated, well-treated, like, it's okay to have a domesticated animal that's legal to have and take care of. We had a chinchilla? Yeah, a chinchilla in my class, and I never got to take it home, and I don't know why, but everybody else did.
There was something they knew in your situation.
I just never came up, and I thought eventually it would be my turn, and it never was my turn.
Oh, that reminds me of when Asher was specially chosen in first grade to get to keep the class crawdaddy.
Well, there was a class.
Yeah, and when it became summer, it was like a big deal that one of the students was going to be selected to take it home, and Asher got picked, and that crawdad was dead. 2 days later, it climbed out. It was my fault.
You're the reason PETA showed up at that building.
No, it was my fault because I thought I didn't realize they could climb glass.
Sugar Bunny is on your.
So this poor crawdad in the night climbed out. It was like up on a counter, fell all the way to the floor, probably injured.
Oh no!
Crawled its poor body from the kitchen into my room. And I swear something woke me in the night. There was a little scrabbling, crawdad scrabbling.
Save me.
No, it came right under my pillow and died. But we didn't find it for several days later. We're looking and looking for that crawdad. Asher was so upset.
Wait, you slept for days with a dead
crawdad? Yes. And finally,
pillow.
I'm like, I gotta find this fucking crawdad. Like, it's gotta be somewhere. And poor Asher had to lie when everybody was asking him how the crawdad was doing and say, "Oh, it's fine."
Did it not smell?
Well, it would have eventually. I mean, I found it before that point, but horrible. Sleeping.
It's affected your
right above
seafood
a dead crawdad. No, I'll still eat me some lobster.
I'm just going to tell you, sometimes you're talking very loudly, very closely into the mic. I know you don't have headphones on right now, but sometimes you're deafening me.
Just tell me what to do. Back, forward.
Yeah, I tried to.
Just give me a hand signal.
I gave you a hand signal, and you did the opposite. No, I did this, and you
What
came
did that mean?
Closer. You went here, and it literally cut the sound because it was so loud.
I misread your cue.
You did the opposite.
I thought this meant you're too quiet.
I didn't do this. No, I said back the F off.
Maybe you need to be more aggressive with it.
Well, it was like we're recording. I was trying to keep it down here. Lap level.
Lap level.
Lap level instead. Fine, I'll get the.
No, just please. I just need to be told things directly. Okay, back to.
Okay, where are we? Tiger King.
Tiger King. Oh my gosh,
I'm happy that I don't have to. I just get to drink wine right now. I'm so glad.
I'm happy for you. Just enjoy the show. Okay.
I'm enjoying it.
So Joe, he started really openly, graphically bashing Carole on his internet show.
It's not hard to do if you've seen her. I would probably make fun of her too, and I don't like Joe either. Very publicly bashing. Yeah,
him and Carole started coming back.
He would make videos about her like being mean.
No, I mean, he would threaten to kill her.
Yeah,
very publicly, like on his YouTube show.
Come here, Carole Baskin.
He filled her mailbox with snakes. He wasn't like shy about how much he hated her, but she was also coming after him. So he felt her as a threat, and so that's the way he went about it. Then in the documentary, I mean, this documentary. Well, because there's some sad, tragic things that happened in this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this larger than life character, Joe Exotic that is all centered around, but there's lots of other things happening. One day, Saf got his arm torn off by a tiger. So, by the way, I think that Saf is the only sane person in this entire documentary.
Yeah, like I remember watching their part of it, and it was sad, but like you understood where they were coming from.
Yeah, and he chose to have the arm amputated rather than endure 2 years of constructive surgery, which I get that.
Yeah, no, and like, would it even help if you went through all that?
Well, he said right after it he could move his fingers, like they tested him, but it was just so mangled. It would have. And he didn't want the media to win also. So it was really important to him to like get right back to the Tigers because the media was like trying to blow it up and turn it into a thing.
I could get that too if you're, an advocate trying to protect the wildlife. I'm also a little curious because it didn't go into the film, but if Joe did put any pressure on them or not to like get back to it, because he would be the one to be worried about like media coverage.
I've watched a lot of interviews that Saf has done, and it seems like
pretty consistent.
His decision. He was very loyal to Joe.
Yeah.
At that time anyway, and just wanted to get back to work as soon as possible. Like that was making a statement.
Yeah.
But it was very tragic. And what was really confusing is all of a sudden Joe is wearing this EMT jacket. Now he had been an EMT in the past, but I just didn't understand. Like at what point did you put the jacket on during this fucking crisis?
Yeah, being an EMT in the past doesn't mean you're an EMT now.
And also, like, at what opportunity during that would you choose to run and find your old EMT jacket just so you could be seen on film wearing that?
Yeah.
Like, I would be so, like, riveted to the moment and the situation. I wouldn't be like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go get my jacket.
Let me just say, I'm just on the humanist level here. So when I knew somebody who had a medical emergency in my house, I had called 911 and then I looked around. So medical emergency is still happening and I'm still trying to take care of that. One of the first thoughts in my head was, oh my goodness, the ambulance people are going to come into like my room and see all this stuff here. Like see like my bra on the floor. And like I started like kicking things, like trying to shove it. Like the last thing in my mind should be, oh my goodness, what are people going to think when they come in? But it did in that panic.
No, I always think that.
Of like people viewing. Oh, we've talked about this.
Yeah. When I'm super sick, I make sure that I take a shower.
I've had thoughts of like
cute like PJ outfit.
Sometimes I think like I want to shave my legs today. Like what if I get in a car accident and I die? And then like they're like, she has hairy legs. Sometimes that comes up.
No, I have to die with lipstick on. I have to.
I told you I will put it on you if that ever happens.
I'll shave your legs. You take care of the lipstick.
I may eat you later if we're stranded, but you'll have lipstick on. I swear, I will not eat those lips.
I forgot we were doing this today. I have no makeup on, so I just put on some lipstick.
Wonderful. I don't usually wear lipstick. I don't know. It just seems like a waste. Whoa, sorry.
That's like my order of makeup. You know, will be like lipstick.
I've been doing
then mascara,
skincare lately.
It may stop there.
3 days.
I mean, I have sunscreen on but
yeah,
like that's all I really have on.
I did like a serum and a moisturizer for the last 3 days, and I've enjoyed it. Actually, my skin is very dry.
I'm sorry, your skin is basically the Sahara Desert.
I've been doing a water challenge, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't drink water.
And I hate drinking water.
I just don't do it unless it's right in front of me.
I drink a glass of water in the morning when I wake up because I'm thirsty. You know?
I don't usually do that unless I'm forced to.
I have like 2 cups of tea, which is water.
I do drink. Okay, yes, me too.
I have kombucha,
but
which is water.
But they say that if it has caffeine in it, like you get to count half as well.
Well, I don't think tea is a diuretic like coffee. I refuse to believe it.
All right.
Prove it. I want to see the graphs. I want to see the stats.
I look up to you, so I'm going to ignore everything I've read.
Ignore it.
Listen to what
water.
you said instead.
That's what I
peer
think.
pressure. See, it's great.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Where am I?
Sorry.
Dirty
laundry on the floor.
Saf lost his arm.
Yes, got a bit right off.
Okay, Joe Exotic bred more tigers than anyone and sold them all around the country. The Endangered Species Act doesn't allow the breeding and selling of tigers. So this is a legal activity. Carole Baskin, of course, pointed this out, and actually she created a whole thing that she posted online that told all the names of the people in her bad guy network.
She had a lot of followers, a lot of fans.
That's because she sold herself as being the one on the good side of this.
Like a, what's it called? Like a conservationist.
Yes. That she's trying to help the problem that these guys are creating. Doc's girlfriends, they each had enormous houses on the property.
Convenient. Oh yeah. Like separate.
But they're like big. Like
This is why, like,
it was a big contrast from how they were living on Joe's property, how his staff are living compared to that.
What makes me think like more cultish. Like, I'm gonna lure you in with things that you
want,
and that way I can get the sex, the fame, the like. Oh, I get to sleep with these young women,
and you get to play with freaking exotic animals all day. Like, that's cool.
Yeah,
I've never touched a tiger.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can do that without, entrapping women into sexual situations, but
I mean, that's
maybe not as a living.
So perhaps. For all these people, it seems like it's a lure.
Yeah, they needed that section. Like
It's a way to bring people in.
Yeah, they money.
Yeah, it's a draw. Okay. So Joe had 2 husbands in the beginning of the docuseries. He had his husband John Finley. But then he brought in 19-year-old Travis Maldonado.
This part.
And
really
they all 3 got
me.
married in a ceremony during the documentary. So there's a picture of Travis on the left and a picture of the marriage ceremony where they all 3 are wearing those bright pink shirts.
Yes.
And this is a lot for Oklahoma, I think.
Oh, it's a lot.
I mean, I haven't been there, but I'm just imagining like
I've
it's
been
probably
there.
out of the norm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You are right.
So these tiger guys, like I said, like they have this allure about them, but it's really hard work. Like you don't get days off.
Yeah, I mean the animals have to
eat and
live.
Be taken care of. So up till now in the docuseries, it's all about like these people, these characters, how they keep big cats. And then things take a turn. Like all of a sudden, somebody's being interviewed about Carole Baskin. Carole fucking Baskin.
I think this is the point where I got hooked on the series and I finished.
No, you're like what?
I'm like,
yeah, you're
me?
like, huh?
Give
what?
me more, please.
So all of a sudden, it's revealed by someone being interviewed that Carole Baskin is a millionaire, and that she inherited her husband's millions after he vanished. And so the interviewer was like, "What? Her husband disappeared, vanished?" It was like, "What is going on?" So everyone in the film that was interviewed, other than Carole Baskin and her new husband Howie, believed that Carole Baskin killed her husband.
Yes,
and hid her body on her property.
She obviously did, though.
Possibly feeding him to the tigers.
I mean, she obviously did, though. So we don't even have to say possibly. Like, there's really the only logical explanation.
Well, where is he?
She fed him to the tigers.
I mean, it's such an convenient way to get rid of a body.
Exactly. And I mean, her whole explanation.
No body, no crime.
Doesn't make sense. Her he flew off in the plane. However, it's like there, like his truck is there. Like
no, he didn't fly anywhere. He didn't go anywhere.
Well, but that's what she said was that he left.
He was going to go to Costa Rica. Yeah.
Yes, but his truck was still there. Like everything
was there.
Yeah, because she killed him and then fed him to the tigers.
And she tried to set up something.
Well, yeah. I mean, she obviously
had
issues. And other people reported that like he was fine. Like she tried to say that he was like logically, like he was getting dementia.
He was confused.
Yeah, like he was confused. He got dementia, but nobody else reported that there was anything like that. And that he had, I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
No. Like his closest family members would know that, especially with dementia. Like family gets concerned because of like the paranoia and the memory loss. Like it's pretty apparent.
Do you remember that awkward part in the show where Carole Baskin and her husband made the filmers watch that terrible, terrible song video? And it just went on and on. It was just so bad. Oh, yeah.
It
was like a video
on her computer that probably had dial-up.
No, it was so bad. Okay.
Her like new husband is really odd.
Yeah.
Like he seems like just really quiet and timid, and then
like
then she has like pictures of him and her, and he's like in like bondage. I don't know, not bondage. I don't know what's it called when you look like you're wearing horse attire.
No, he was
what's it called?
Wearing a collar and a leash.
Yeah.
Held by Carole. I think that was
like
their wedding photos or something.
Yeah, it was like a touch beyond.
Well, it definitely tells that's the relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, because
she holds the leash.
But when they talk, like they try to come off like they're just like very typical people,
they're nobody like I know.
Centered and balanced, and then but like when you're like, well, but you really I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has their thing, but not everybody posts photos of it. Just saying.
Not everybody has it as their Facebook cover photo.
Yeah, I mean, not shaming, but you can't claim both.
Let's talk about Don Lewis.
Okay.
This was Carole Baskin's first husband.
Okay.
He spoke to his ex-wife and told her he was planning to divorce Carole Baskin and that Carole was dangerous and that he was afraid of her. The next day, he was gone. So that was 1997. Carole and Don lived in Tampa, Florida at the time of his disappearance. And police investigated this. They looked into foul play. They didn't find anything. Don Lewis was married and he had children when he met Carole. Carole was 20 years old. And he abandoned his family for this new younger blonde, the newer model. And Don called Carole an angel. And his ex-wife told him, she's an angel sent from hell and one day you'll find out. So maybe he did.
Pretty strong words.
So Don Lewis was a ladies' man. And if he would have divorced Carole, she would have been left with nothing. So Don gave his assistant a letter that had a copy of the request that he had made for a restraining order against Carole. And he told his assistant that if anything ever happened to him, she was to turn it over to the police. So it stated that Carole had threatened to kill him. She had a .45 revolver and she had hid his .357. That protection order was denied. That happened in June and he disappeared in August. Suspicious? I say so.
Yeah, but pretty much, if I write a letter saying you did it and then I die, you did it.
So Carole, I've noticed watching this, she has a really interesting tell. So every time she's saying something that I think is probably a lie, she looks up like this while she's saying it.
I noticed that too, actually. I remember thinking specifically, like, you just look like you're lying. Like,
yeah, like she would just completely look up and be like, I never saw him again.
I can't make eye contact with you right now because I don't know where he went.
Yeah. So, and I actually saw an internet article that said a body language expert said she was lying.
Have they done like a polygraph?
I don't know. I didn't learn that they did. So Carole, as you said that one explanation was that he developed dementia and he just wandered off and got lost, maybe fell in a swamp or something.
Again, I think you would have found a body, bone, something. There aren't tigers in a swamp.
There are gators.
There are gators. Oh gosh, that's so terrifying. Oklahoma.
Joe Exotic made a video called Here Kitty Kitty. That's on YouTube. And it features a Carole Baskin lookalike. And she looks a lot like Carole Baskin.
I remember that, yeah.
Like, you have to look at it twice, like, is that Carole fucking Baskin? No, it's a lookalike. And it shows a Carole Baskin feeding murdered husband meat to tigers.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that was like my
it's
first
kind of funny.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't think it was funny.
I get that, like, it's in bad taste for the person whose, like, husband has disappeared. I get that. However,
if she murdered him, it's funny.
It would be different if he didn't write a letter right before he died that said she did it.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
If that wasn't there, then it'd be like, well, I mean, can we rule out other things or not?
I mean, he was terrified of her. Like, that's a fact.
Well, and all of his family members, like, were like, yeah, no, she did this.
Yeah.
Which means there's like a roof. Sorry, this is the wine happening. It's not ruthlessness. Is it ruthlessness?
Ruthlessness.
Why does Ruth have such a bad take? I don't know. Poor Ruth. Anyways, get a dark side.
So, did Carole put her husband in the meat grinder and feed the tigers? That's one theory.
Actually, I heard that's much harder to do than from past. I don't know which things I've seen, but like like the bones and stuff aren't actually meant to go through a meat grinder. So like putting a whole body in would actually be much harder than it sounds.
But I think tigers, I mean, if you just threw a whole body in there might not be much left.
No, especially over time. One thing I did read though is that like burning bodies, this is just like a, you know, in our over a year of doing this, I've learned
The things we've learned.
I've learned that burning a body though can get rid of a lot, but there'd still be some.
Oh yeah, that was
bones.
in my spontaneous human combustion.
Exactly, like
it has to be at such a high heat.
Yeah, which you probably
disappear
couldn't get
things.
just burning it. So it would make sense that like something maybe chewed it, digested it, and like completely dissolved it.
Yep.
Which pigs do that.
Oh, I've heard that pigs are another
Yeah.
way that you can hide a body.
Yeah.
Carole had given herself Dawn's power of attorney with specific wording that said, "This durable family power of attorney shall not be affected by my disability or disappearance." So that wording, having disappearance in there, is pretty rare verbiage.
Yeah. I mean, if I were making something for myself, I definitely wouldn't be like, if I disappear, I'd be like, no, if I died or an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
doesn't make
Carole's
sense.
never charged with anything. There was no body, no physical evidence. So Joe is really stepping things up. He really enjoyed fucking with Carole. Like he got
And here
pleasure
was
out of
like
it.
the perfect thing.
Yeah, and he has, you know, his YouTube TV channel. He's got people filming him all the time. So he's doing all kinds of things. He's very outspoken about how he hates Carole. And then meanwhile, this Rick Kirkham guy is filming everything because he wants to make a reality show. So he's there helping Joe produce his Joe Exotic TV YouTube show. But behind that, he's filming everything because he wants to do this reality show. He
To
sees
use it
there's
at some point. Yeah.
potential there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, you know, gold here with this
Gold.
character.
Yeah.
And Joe was fine with having everything filmed because he loved attention. He sought fame. He had this massive ego. So everything is filmed. Everything he says. He's doing vulgar threats to Carole, vulgar things. At one point, he takes a photo of a recently severed horse penis. Said it's for Carole's husband, Howard.
Rude.
Just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and I do want to be clear. Like,
endless.
I'm particularly against both of them, in all honesty, in different ways.
Yeah.
I think Carole Baskin is a murderer who makes her place look better than it is, and I think he is an illegal animal breeder that mistreats his wildlife.
Well, if she didn't have her ex-husband's millions, I mean, that's what she's living on, is his money.
Well, I guess that's why you marry a millionaire. And then murder them. Don't do that.
So Joe decides to change his business logo to look exactly like hers.
Yeah.
Like exactly. Like,
well, didn't he change something like the website too? So people were getting confused and were like,
Yep,
the traffic was flowing to him.
he changed the business name and the logo so it looked exactly. He even changed the address of his so it would be in Florida like hers. So he ends up getting sued for copyright infringement, and they win it, and he's ordered to pay $1 million, which he couldn't afford.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where things take a dark turn for Joe. He couldn't.
Yeah, he stepped in deep water.
He hated her, but he still couldn't give up antagonizing her.
Mm-hmm. But she had the money.
You know, Rick's ready to like launch this reality show. Has enough footage. And if that show would have got picked up, that would have helped Joe's financial situation. But then what happens? The studio burns down. All the footage is lost. And the police said it was arson.
Totally on purpose.
But nobody could ever figure out who did it.
Well, he did it.
So Joe's now desperate for money. He owes Carole fucking Baskin $1 million. So he starts breeding tiger cubs to sell because that's a moneymaker. He's on the verge of losing his zoo. Carole had spent over $1 million in legal fees fighting Joe, but she could afford it. Like she had more money that she could spend with this. It was costing $60,000 to $70,000 a month to feed Joe's animals.
Yikes.
A month.
Yikes.
And the conditions at the zoo are starting to deteriorate. So Joe decided to try to settle with Carole and Howard because there was just like no way. Then comes in another character, Jeff Lowe, into this.
I did not like Jeff Lowe at all.
Nobody likes Jeff Lowe.
I just want to say, like, I hate his face. I don't like his personality.
I don't like his style.
He reminds me of like a lot of these like guys that come in and then end up effing you over at some point. Like
They're
they
the kind of
sound
guys
like they're on
that
your side.
wear their glasses backwards on their hat, which
Yeah.
I've never understood.
Oh my goodness. There's somebody that keeps dropping off, I think, cars that they steal for joyrides, like right by my house. And I actually saw the guy today and he totally had a hat with his sunglasses on the other way. And he just like
It's a
walked
certain
off quickly.
persona
I'm like,
of people.
you stole that car and then left it here. You did that. Right?
Your neighborhood would be good for that. It's kind of
right,
off the beaten
right
path.
near well between two long fences too. So it's like once a month there's like 2 or 3 cars that are left there and then they get taken off. It's weird. Who does that? Like, why would you tell me? The cars are intact. Why would you do that?
Why would you drop it off?
Yeah.
You're done.
Is it like
You
a
probably used it for a
joyride?
crime.
Oh, that might make sense. Okay, because like today it was a pickup truck that got left there, and the guy like got out, parked it, and then walked around the block. And I'd probably get picked up by somebody.
Yeah, or it could be just a drop off. You know how like you want to switch drivers.
The car stays there for like today. The car stayed there for like 6 hours, and then it got picked up by the house next to it. I think called it, and it got picked up by a tow truck.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they just like drop it. It's weird.
Weird.
Sorry.
Future topic.
I don't know.
Car
I'm
crime.
gonna after them one. What are you doing? Stop it.
Can I interview? Do you want to be on our podcast?
Hey, hat glasses guy.
Tell us what the purpose of your glasses are backwards on your head.
Why do you leave these cars? Why are they intact? Do you steal the radios? Like, what's happening? Do people buy radios anymore?
Okay, Jeff Lowe.
Yeah, that guy.
Sleazy,
Yeah.
slimy.
There we go.
He comes in there, you know, he's got a lot of swagger. Like, I got money. I'm going to save your zoo with my money.
Mm-hmm.
He's also into big cats, so he needed somewhere to house his cats. He drove a Ferrari. He lived in a mansion. He was a swinger.
Wait, like sexually a swinger?
Sexually a swinger.
Okay, I
yes.
just want to make sure there wasn't another meaning.
He and his wife would take tiger cubs out to Vegas and use them as bait to get girls. So his motto was, a little pussy gets you a lot of pussy.
Ew, gross.
So
Totally
Joe,
glasses
totally
backwards.
enamored with this guy, right?
Ew.
You know, he's got this lifestyle. He looks like he's got it all going on.
He kind of is what Joe wants to be.
So he told Joe not to settle with Carole. And Jeff paid some of Joe's debt to Carole Baskin, and the GW Zoo was put in Jeff Lowe's name. So Jeff Lowe basically stole the zoo, in everybody's opinion.
Uh-huh.
So he was given these keys to the kingdom, and this was to help Joe circumvent Carole Baskin. And Joe at first really trusted Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
But things at the park really changed. Jeff brought in his own people. Everybody was a felon. And that's when they opened the pizza place and sold pizza with the Walmart
rotten
meat.
Gross. I remember they were like, I ate pizza from there.
And everyone's like, this is delicious. I'm like,
Mm.
oh,
Don't do
probably
it.
is.
Don't do it. Food poisoning. That's going to kill your gut.
In 2015, Joe Exotic ran for president.
I remember that. And he had, like, was in a parade.
There's so much going on in this docuseries. I mean, it would have been a really good reality show, really.
It was, like, too big for real life, even. And that's why what happened
Too big
happened.
for real life. Yeah. Oh,
Did you? Oh,
sorry.
you're
I
so
thought there was something weighting it down. But it's...
Neither of us have something waiting. You've been
Empty.
slacking.
Okay, let's top off our paper cups.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Look, I'm. Do you have this purple line of my?
Not as much as yours.
Oh my goodness, you don't.
You're a little sloppy.
I like to let my wine
Dribble down the cup a little bit.
You know, like sit a minute on the edge of my paper cup before it goes into my mouth.
You're like half drinking, half dribbling.
I'm like, I have to go into a deep thought mid-drink.
Okay. So what else was going on in this period? Oh, this is when Joe got drug around by one of his own tigers.
I totally dribble.
I know you're a dribbler.
What about my mouth makes me
See,
dribble?
I don't do that because I don't like to waste wine.
Well, but like, what am I doing wrong?
You're not sucking
Do I
hard
need a
enough.
straw?
Maybe you need a straw. Sippy cup.
Oh, that went up my nose and this is so bad.
Do you remember when... What are you doing? Snorting wine over there? These are the moments that people used to miss before we started videoing. And now it's caught on camera.
I didn't know that sipping it would like make all the alcohol air go up my nose, but it did.
Air.
Try sipping it.
No, I don't want to.
You
I don't want wine up my nose like
you get to, it's like huffing alcohol.
Look how neat my drink is.
It's so neat.
I don't have a sloppy mouth like you.
Such a sloppy mouth. I don't even have lipstick on. I like wine lipstick.
It's all about not wasting for me. This is the whole thing.
I mean,
so do you remember when Joe got drug around by one of his laggers and nobody helped him?
Yeah, I remember that part.
He was like shooting his gun off, trying to scare it away.
I remember being like
nobody helped him.
The dude's still filming it. Yep. Like he's gonna die.
They're filming that for one of his campaign videos. So Joe's getting increasingly moody. All this stuff's getting to him. So he lured in and controlled his husbands through exotic animals, gifts, like he'd get them guns, he'd get them four-wheelers, and drugs.
Drugs.
So there was a lot of meth use, a lot of weed.
Do you think that had to do a bit with like his like overzealousness, like filming and videotaping? Like whenever he did it, he always seemed like super.
I don't know if he was currently using during that, but I know the husbands there. Well, John Finley himself said that he did use meth, and then other people said that Travis did use meth.
I just find it hard that like they're using meth and he's just not.
But it was on hand everywhere.
Yeah, like I don't know. His behavior was really erratic.
He was erratic
and impulsive.
But I don't know if I saw that level of deterioration that I saw in the others. I don't know.
But like I think they all filmed well.
Like Travis went downhill like real fast. The 4 years that he was with Joe, like he started out this like adorable young thing, and like 4 years in, he looked completely different.
I mean, but like how much lower can you go as the Tiger King? Like that sounds bad.
I don't know.
It's hard for me to imagine less than that for him. Specifically,
I mean, he seemed like he was functioning pretty well, I guess is what I'll say. Like he was doing a lot. Was that meth filled though?
But sometimes it was kind of almost like a manic methy energy of like too much of him like running around filming. Like to have the energy to do that all the time is a lot. Like sometimes I wake up and don't want to put
maybe
socks
it's like
on.
low level meth use. Enough to get the energy, but not enough to destroy your life.
I mean, his life feels pretty destroyed to me, but
well, it starts to go.
Yeah.
And apparently neither of his husbands, John Finley or Travis Maldonado, were gay. They were both straight guys. So one day, John Finley left Joe for a woman. He got pregnant. This is very distressing to Joe.
Yeah, I bet.
But he still had Travis. Travis, however, wasn't doing that great. He complained Joe wouldn't let him leave the park or get a job. And he played with guns constantly. He would jokingly point them at people all the time and say they weren't loaded. And this is the real sad part of the thing. One day, he tried to prove his Ruger wouldn't shoot without a clip, so he pointed it at his own head and pulled the trigger. Unfortunately, it shot, and he shot himself in the head and died instantly.
I was actually really surprised that they included that in the Netflix series, because like they showed the webcam footage, not of the actual,
not of him, yes,
but the reaction from the other person.
Yes, because everything was being filmed all the time, so It showed the reaction of Josh Dial, who was Joe's campaign manager at the time. And it showed his whole reaction.
And that, to me, felt like too much. It really did. Like,
I hope he gave us permission for that.
I'm sure he did. But it just felt like, I don't know, like
it was
the
too
reaction
close
to someone's suicide. Like, even so, when I did the podcast episode,
I wouldn't have called it a suicide.
Or it wasn't. It was accidental.
Yeah, accidental.
Yeah. But like, so the Okigahara forest, the suicide forest, like it was seen as so not okay to even like filming it was taboo because it was seen as disrespectful. So like filming someone's reaction to an accidental shooting seems inappropriate almost. I mean, I think it'd be inappropriate if it was my family member.
Like, it would have been fine that they could just talk about it. They don't need to show footage.
Yeah, it was just, again, it was like the kitten video. Like,
it goes a step too far.
Yeah, like you don't need to show him.
They show every minute,
like
he's like this.
And what? Yeah.
And then he like slowly
You're
gets
literally
up and starts
watching someone get traumatized. Like,
I
don't see why that's appropriate.
He said he had PTSD after.
Well, yeah, I bet.
Yeah, someone shooting themselves in the head right in front of you.
I mean, no matter anything. I mean,
and not meaning to. I mean,
it's so tragic.
So really tragic. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Just because someone's struggling doesn't mean that their life doesn't have value. Like, he had value as a person.
He's so young,
and yeah, it was sad.
Yeah, it was really, and I didn't expect that. Like.
It was like something.
It took a turn for sure.
It was something that, like, I was like, who's this odd guy with tigers? And then I got like pulled in, and then it was like, whoa. I remember actually having to stop it because you and I specifically have in the field of being a little close to that, and like I had to stop and like not watch it for a little bit because it triggered me. Like,
no, it was a lot. Like, I didn't see it coming.
There was no warning. Like,
no warning.
And I think that's what Netflix kind of got out of that was it was like the shock value, but.
But people didn't really focus on this part of it. Like, most of the focus is on, Joe and his personality and his big character and his mullet, and Carole Baskin. But like this part didn't really get touched on, and I thought, that was a really, really tragic part of the story.
Absolutely. I think that's probably the biggest part of this story, honestly. Like,
well, it's the only person that died in the whole thing.
Only person who died, and unexpectedly, not for any good reason. Like, yeah, and it's just sad. But it totally represents that, like, if they had better park rules, if they had like control of firearms,
playing with guns all the time.
And they showed video clips of that, like of him doing that on a regular basis. So you could kind of see, like, yeah, he totally would pull it out and be like, look. And
if he's using drugs, he's maybe not being as careful,
Yeah.
Thought it wouldn't fire, and then it did. I mean, you don't play with guns. Like, yeah.
It's sad. It's really sad.
And then the mom in there being interviewed.
And I know that, like, it absolutely impacted the Tiger King. What's his name? What's his actual name?
The Tiger King is his real name. Tiger King. Okay. Yes. After Travis died, Joe
huge impact
spiraled.
Obviously.
Like, he was already not doing well. A lot of stressors.
Yeah.
And like that really caused him to take a dive. But not for long, because then he married Dylan Passage.
Yeah, I remember.
Who actually was gay.
And it wasn't that long after.
4 months.
Yeah, I was about to say, for someone like...
And Dylan is a stable, attractive, young, actually gay guy.
Gay man,
look how good looking he is.
Yeah, he's cute.
Actually loved Joe. Like, it was the real deal there. He was 22 when he met. So Joe was older guy, like 50s during this.
Yeah.
And so he kind of had this pattern of ensnaring these like straight guys, luring him in.
Which kind of makes sense for Oklahoma. Because, I mean, also in that vein, I was kind of thinking, well, in Oklahoma, it's not very socially okay to be gay in a lot of areas, at least. So There could have been, I don't know, it's be really, really hard to be in a relationship with someone and have no feelings at all.
Well, they're also on drugs a lot.
Yeah, I still think
not allowed to leave. So.
I just think there might be a piece of like culturally of it not being socially acceptable. So maybe it being kept kind of like afterwards being like, oh yeah, definitely not gay.
Yeah. I mean, they were both pretty outspoken that they weren't gay and they were all, they had women on the side. But Dylan,
or they were
stable,
bisexual,
educated.
possibly.
Yeah. Well, not by the report, at least.
But they were married to a man and sleeping with a man as well.
Yes, but apparently not super into it.
I'm just
going off their report.
I agree with you. Okay. I mean, okay.
So this, though, they got married. It was only 2 months after Travis died.
Okay. Okay.
Even
Yeah. I mean,
sooner.
that's like shocking.
Yes.
2 months is shocking. That's not okay.
So Dylan's 22, but really supportive of Joe. Like, it seemed like a very legitimate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's now running for governor, and the zoo's falling apart. And then he becomes under federal investigation. So this is really like the demise of everything. Joe had been misappropriating zoo funds for his campaign, and this is Jeff Lowe's money.
Mm-hmm.
He had spent $60,000 on things like condoms with his face on it. It's like campaign swag. He'd like hand them out to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff Lowe's pissed. He kicks Joe out of the park.
The tax person.
So, Joe's getting ready to leave. And a couple days before he leaves, he burns things, sells things, and then he goes into hiding with Dylan. Then there's the whole murder for hire plot. Joe talked about killing Carole Baskin on a daily basis, very publicly. It's on YouTube. And he started reaching out to individuals to see if they would actually kill her. So then someone who knew Joe for 20 years, this guy named James Garrettson, he signs up to be a snitch to the FBI and record everything between him and Joe and Jeff, all the conversations.
Snitches get
stitches or ditches.
Snitches get stitches.
Or ditches.
Well, I think ditches is like the severe end.
Yes. Well, this guy didn't get anything. It's too bad.
Snitches get a lesser sentence.
So the FBI just wanted to know everything that, Joe was up to and Jeff was up to. And then Carole and her husbands were informed that there was a credible threat against Carole's life. And then one of Jeff's staff, do you remember the scary guy with the tear tattoo?
Who was scary, yeah.
Alan Glover. Uh-huh. So he's a scary mofo. He's got a felony history. And he had the plan to...
You're going to have to keep talking when I go to the
hide,
bathroom.
hunt,
enjoy,
find this woman. Oh, you're leaving me.
I have to go to the bathroom. Keep talking.
Okay.
Why are you like panicked? Calm down.
Just go ahead. It's fine. I'll be fine.
Can you not say it like that? Keep going.
How are you going to get out?
I'm going to stand up and walk out of the room.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Start talking. I'll just talk without you.
So one of the plans, but I am on your white couch. So.
No, go ahead. Right. I want you to be comfortable.
Thanks.
So Alan Glover, scary mofo, one of Jeff Lowe's dudes that he brought to work at the zoo, had this plan to get Carole. One of the plans was to drug Carole with ketamine, which is a sedative, throw her in the back of a van, drive her to a swamp, and cut her body into pieces and throw it in, I assume, to be eaten by alligators. But then nothing really happened. So to get a murder for hire case prosecuted, there has to be evidence, such as money changing hands. This was dragged out for months. Nothing happened. Everybody's waiting for some action. The FBI are waiting. Everybody's waiting, and nothing happens. So then this Jeff Lowe guy gets into it. Mr. Sunglasses on the back of his head gets involved, and he really is motivated to get Joe in trouble. So he starts talking to Alan Glover about this and also talking to the FBI. And so Jeff Lowe finds out that Alan Glover was paid $3,000 as a down payment for killing Carole Baskin. And Alan Glover just took this money and just ran. I mean, why not? I would probably do that too. The FBI finally caught Joe and arrested him. Oh, welcome back.
Thanks.
I missed you.
I had the best of times.
I'm glad it wasn't the worst of times.
Oh, I'm stuck. Wait, I'm unstuck. Okay.
It's a lot of pressure having us being filmed and live. It's like so much happening at once.
I feel like we've done okay. I feel like we did better than last time as far as like comfort.
Well, last time I was like this the entire time. My microphone was basically a proboscis.
What's a proboscis?
It's like
a nose,
a hanging off attachment
Sorry,
thing.
That was very close.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was basically an elephant seal.
Yes.
Okay, so Joe got arrested.
Your soap smells amazing, by the way. It's like lavender.
Everything's organic here.
Smells
Only the best at the wellness center. He was 55 at the time. The feds then searched the zoo. They found evidence that 5 tigers had been killed.
Not okay.
They found the skulls buried on the zoo property.
Not okay.
Joe Exotic was charged with 19 wildlife charges. It was really crucial to the FBI to bring the murder for hire charges and the wildlife charges together because it really made Joe out to be more of a bad guy because people do not like animal abuse.
Yeah, it also gives him like motive behind it a little.
It gave more weight to the murder for hire charges, which were kind of on the weak side.
Mm-hmm.
So
because freedom of speech on the internet, like you can post whatever, but there was only the couple of videos where he did
right, and the exchange of money, that's just word of mouth. Like there was no video proof. There was no
and then going back and forth at each other, you could almost just be like, okay, well, stop it, guys.
Yeah, stop it. Joe was sentenced to 22 years in prison.
Is he still in prison?
Yes.
Yeah.
He decided to get revenge, and so he ratted out everybody he knew to PETA. So suddenly he's PETA's friend.
All of a sudden,
so like
in your pocket.
Doc and all these other people, like everybody got dragged into this. Saf, who was the only reasonable person in this whole documentary, said it right. He was just talking about how in this story there's really no winners, not even the animals. And unfortunately, like, that's really sad because these people all said like they were here for the animals.
Well, and the animals aren't going to, I think that's the sad part too, is like, even if they get confiscated, like they're going to go to another related place if, and who knows about the quality there. They just haven't been investigated.
Yeah.
Carole Baskin.
So the reason the tigers were killed, it's up to debate. So some people say that they were killed. They're perfectly healthy tigers that were killed just because they weren't space. Joe says they were aging and he was just, killing them to put them out of their misery.
Instead of having like a vet come out and put them down and have documentation like you probably should have.
And Doc Antle was accused of euthanizing tigers and cremating them.
I remember reading something about that one. Yeah.
So, if your money makers are the cubs, and the cubs grow into these tigers that cost $10,000
it's like if you
a month to feed and take up all this
kittens
space
a lot, and you keep buying kittens and they keep growing old, and then you put them outside, and then there's just a bunch of house cats outside and they have to eat food somehow. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I have a stray cat problem at the moment outside. Not my doing.
Don't feed them.
But I'm not going to not feed them because, okay, so I officially have a cat that's outside that's not mine. I've named her Chance. And I think she's pregnant. So she's pregnant, and like she comes up to my door and she literally sits on my porch and looks.
She wants you to make a place for her to have her babies.
She watches me through my window on the front door every day.
This happened to me.
And she just stares at me when I open the door and she goes, "Ow!" And it's like the saddest, most desperate sound. And I give her food. Okay. Step 2 of this is like that happened for a little while. She now, like, the front porch is like her place. All of a sudden, I pulled up to the house like 2 days ago, and there's like this giant cat I've never seen before laying on my porch. I'm like, where did you come from?
They have a cat network, and they spread the word that there's free food down at Macie's house.
5 frequent cats. 3 of them are black. I think they're all related to her. She's a black cat. And so I think they're all like siblings that live nearby. But this other cat, like none of the black kitties wanted anything to do with it, and were like hissing at it on the porch. And like I came home and I'm like, I'm not feeding you. And it was like, and then it ran away and I didn't feed it.
It's not a good idea.
But now I'm like trying to feed Chance at the back door, but a Boo Bear barks at her, and like, but I can tell like she wants to find somewhere safe to have her babies. So I have like this little house thing.
That's what happened to me. Exactly.
And I put it outside, like, okay, like here's a little warm place on these windstorms that we have. I don't know, like, how do I not feed her? So I try to like be quiet, because when she meows, it like calls everybody else.
Have you seen the white cat that lives here?
Sneak. Oh, I have. Yeah, outside.
Yeah,
obviously.
Well,
yeah.
No, she's indoor outdoor.
Okay, but yes, I have.
She was rescued by me from a tree across the street. I thought she was a kitten, an innocent kitten. I made her one of those outdoor houses for a few days just to make her comfortable. Mm-hmm. Ended up bringing her in eventually when she had the trust. She was pregnant. Mm-hmm. Had all her babies, was welcoming with her, kept 2 of the kittens. Then as soon as she was done with those kittens, as soon as they were weaned, she left me for my ex-husband. That's why she lives here.
So I didn't even think about that. Because, I mean, she totally...
One day she just left my house, walked over here, and she's lived here ever since.
There's a cat that looks just like her, and I call her Second Chance. Okay, sorry. All right, sorry. We're talking about my stray problem, but I do because they'll like hear me open the door to feed her, and they come running to the point of like jumping in front of cars. I'm like, oh my gosh, stop!
No, it's a slippery slope. What you're doing.
Well, it was the neighbors' cats that have now populated over. But like, I can't.
I hope our watchers aren't counting how many times
I don't know.
Class.
I don't know. It's almost 2 hours.
I'm almost done. No, we started late. We did start like 20 minutes late. Yes, okay. And to be fair, this topic was like over many Netflix series, so there's a lot here. I've condensed.
I'm glad my topic was shorter today to give you more time. I feel fine about it.
Okay, well, where am I?
I don't know. I've already gone to the bathroom. I'm fine.
All right. No, I'm in the epilogue now. I'm in the Where Are They Now?
Where are they now? Tell me.
So Joe was already in prison before the show dropped on Netflix and like blew up. He's still in prison, serving 22 years.
I remember like Trump being like called to like release him back when Trump was.
Yes, Joe was really hoping for a pardon from Trump before he left office, and that didn't happen. So that was disappointing for.
I mean, but like, why would he really though? I mean,
well, he pardoned. What's that Lil Nas or Nas X or
but like people who
somebody did the Satan Nikes.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he got pardoned. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes the pardons seem like they're just randomly tossed about.
Well, I mean, and Trump actually talked about him, which made me. I'm like, oh, are you gonna? And he didn't.
Seems like,
But however,
in the same political realm.
Yeah, but this is a gay man from Oklahoma. Like, I think there's political things that Trump probably kept in mind.
Oh, is that the gay thing? Rude.
I mean, okay, I'm not Trump, but it's not out of,
I thought he might. But he didn't.
I didn't think he would.
Joe got COVID in prison early on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I hate to laugh, but it was kind of like, didn't Weinstein get that too at some point? Somebody did.
I don't know. I hope he did. As somebody mentioned, Carole Baskin went on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, Sachi mentioned.
I don't watch that show.
They said that she wasn't even a good dancer.
Well, I believe
Could
that.
imagine. Yeah. Did she wear the cat shirts? That's what I want to know.
I'm sure she wore cat
I need to
print.
watch
I don't
this.
watch the show, but
Why
I'm
have I
just
not-
imagining wearing lots of billowy cat things.
And maybe the length is also my fault because I'm going on a lot of tangents on your topic, but it feels relevant. So
I would like you to take some ownership.
I have to say, I will. I'll take. I don't care. I'll take all of it. It's my fault. So I have a new appreciation for influencers recently than I've ever had in the past because I don't know if you've heard of Brad Mondo.
No.
So he's a hairstylist and he's like very fun and energetic, and he talks and like reviews these like home hairstyle videos, and they're very entertaining to watch. And I've watched them, and I literally have seen myself, like, I ordered a product that he recommended.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he is an influencer. Totally. And so the skincare thing was another guy that I found from him that I was like, oh, I should try that.
Nice.
Totally sucked me into that world. And it is addictive.
Yeah. I always am like, is this expensive thing better than something else that could be out there super cheap at like
what I like about like
Walgreens?
Well, like Brad Mondo and this other guy, like they do reviews like very honestly. Like this one is cheap and it works, so you don't need to change it. And they'll like critique people who like, you don't need to spend $118 on a moisturizer that does the same thing as this. Anyway. Yeah, right. So, anyways, I've kind of appreciated as not a makeup person, not a hair person at all. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I can listen to someone who does know what they're talking about.
Yeah, you're putting your trust in that person.
Yeah, total influencer. Is
influencer
Tiger King an influencer? I don't know. For some, he was for
anymore,
a bit. He did.
He's in prison.
He did for a while.
I mean, he still could be. He probably still has followers.
Do you think he's like...
The thing is, if you're in prison for 22 years, like, a lot of people are going to drift away.
Yeah. Oh, you did say we started late, but this is actually a timer, so it's 1 hour and 56 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, I only have a couple more things to say.
Go for it.
John Finley got new teeth. He's married to a woman. He had remember his like crotch tattoo right here?
Nope.
It said absolutely owned Joe Exotic. It was like right here, like right there. So he got that covered up by this bowl, which is...
Yeah. Again,
I mean, it covers it up.
Again, like, you know, all those things, getting a tattoo on your lower abdomen isn't something someone does when they're like, I'm not into you and I'm just faking this. Like, I would never get that tattooed on my body. Kidding me? Gross.
Jeff Lowe, sunglasses on the back of his head, lost his license to exhibit wild animals. And this is like news just like in the last couple of days. This is what I saw the headline where I'm like, Tiger King. Oh my gosh, I should do that for my topic. Yeah. He just had a stroke.
Oh.
Like in the last week. And his wife believes that it was because his drink was poisoned at a restaurant. So he had a stroke.
Isn't he like in that age range to have a stroke?
I don't know what the age range is.
Was he 50? Like mid-50s?
Am I the age range to have a stroke? Am I going to have a stroke?
No.
Okay, I hope not.
Well, he was also like, I don't know. I remember like, I don't know. It doesn't surprise me. I don't know why it doesn't surprise me.
So that happened.
Okay.
Doc Antle, he's been charged with felonies related to wildlife tracking. Mm-hmm. And Joe's husband, Dylan Passage, just filed for divorce.
Too long waiting.
I mean, I get it. If Joe's going to be gone for like 20 more years,
you need to move
like,
on.
He's
as a
young, you know.
male.
I mean, it's just not a good situation.
He waited a little bit.
He's been so supportive.
He waited more than 2 months.
And he's like, actually, like, seems like a really good person.
I remember him like being like, I like love Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
Like, and he did. So that's fine.
That's great.
but you can't waste your life on someone who's gone forever.
And the last bit is, they've reopened the case of what happened to Carole Baskin's husband. So that is unsolved. And that's all I have.
I mean, they're not going to find anything, but...
Because he was eaten by a tiger?